What is up, everyone? Got to do a bear rant. It is bad, bad, bad there right now with the Chicago Bears. It is absolute destruction, self destruction. That team is in chaos mode, and it's getting worse by the moment. Boy, my light's strong here. Um, anyway, what I wanted to say and make clear to all of you that this is not a bad thing. This is a good thing. Now, I'm going to be a bit cynical about it too. It is so bad with the Chicago Bears right now that it is absolutely time to jump the bandwagon. Too many people have supported this franchise for too long, paying your hard earned money for way overpriced tickets, merch, all that stuff to go to these games, to support this horrible team, and they don't care about you. The Bears do not care about you. It's a toxic relationship where one side cares about the other and the other one doesn't care about that side. It's the owners. It starts with the owners. I had a post on X that went viral yesterday, basically saying that the Chicago Bears owners, the mccaskeys, don't operate a business. They don't operate a professional business. They operate a book club where everyone's friends, everyone's welcome. There's no repercussions for everything. We just have discussions and everything's nice and peaceful. And it is run by 100-year-old woman, 101 to be exact. And it's not a joke. Like, let that sink in. A football organization in 2024 in the NFL, the biggest league, sports league in America, and potentially soon challenging to be in a world, is run by 101-year-old woman. Okay? This is an unserious franchise that's also consisting of unserious owners. So you have unserious owners and an unserious franchise. What does that tell the fans then? I mean, people are cracking on Biden, who's like 80 years old, him being all out of it, not fit for president, and all that, which I agree. But we have 101-year-old woman making decisions on football matters. You brought in Kevin Warren, who is supposedly be this president with so much experience running the Big Ten. He's going to take the Bears over the top. He knows what to do. The dude's been at the position for over a year and a half, and he still can't figure out. His one big job was to figure out where to put this land so they can start building a new stadium. He still doesn't have answers. He's as wrapped up as this 101-year-old woman running the show. He can't figure out if he wants to do on a lakefront, rebuild that stadium. That's his thing. While they bought land in Arlington Heights that they're not using, that is just standing there, but he's got these big dreams and aspirations that they're going to build on a lakefront. While you've had all these issues from friends at the park who don't want that stadium there. They don't want anything to do with that. They don't want any expansion there. They can't even put their own grass in there, the Chicago Bears franchise, because it's run by the Chicago Park District. But yet we brought this guy who's supposedly the best in the business at, building stadiums. He built Minnesota's stadium, and he was going to do the same thing here. He can't figure that out yet. He said shovels to the ground. It's supposed to be 6 months ago. Now, start of 2025. They don't even have a location. My point being is, if this guy can't figure out where to start a stadium with land you already own that's ready to go, how is he going to make football operations decisions? How is this guy qualified to be the boss of Ryan Pace and be the one to just kind of the bridge to the mccaskeys? Bad hire already. The guy's done nothing, and he's not shown his face besides have a puff article written about him, how he gets up at 5 every day, but yet clearly he's not doing anything afterwards that he's paid for. Now, let's go lower, a step below. Ryan Pace got a lot of celebratory congratulations. He was the toast of the town, rightfully so, for doing the trade of the century in any sport. Um, Doing that Carolina trade that got them DJ Moore, tons of draft picks that turn out to be one of them, the big one being Caleb Williams and a lot of other players that are currently on this roster because of that trade, and a number 2 pick coming in the fall, this upcoming draft. You know, it's a nice haul. It's a historic haul, but it suddenly doesn't look that good because you're 1 game behind Carolina. I mean, ahead of Carolina, that's behind you. And your quarterback, who's supposed to be the savior, a generational talent, looks as good as Bryce Young, the guy that Carolina supposedly whiffed on badly. Now, how can this happen? How can a can't miss prospect, generational talent, look this bad while all the guys in his draft class have exceeded him already? Is it Caleb? Did he lose his talent overnight? No, the guy's got still one of the greatest arms and throwing styles comparable to Mahomes. And he's everything you want him to be. It's just not showing up on a field. So how is that possible? Well, here's the culprit in all of this. This is this whole mess. Your coach, your head coach, Matt Eber, oh my gosh, I can't even say his name anymore. It's been so much talked about. Eberflus, Flus, as they call him, is an absolutely unqualified candidate to be a head coach. Now, there's some good coordinators that are just good coordinators. And you can see that Vic Fangio comes to mind as a career defensive coordinator who's really good at his job, but can't quite cut it as a head coach. We saw that. We've seen great coordinators just not be cut out to be coaches because they're just good at their one job. And that's fine. You're just a great coordinator. Some that didn't even, attempt to do that. Coming to mind, Jim Johnson, the late Jim Johnson from the Eagles, also great coordinator, never was coach. Some guys are not cut out for that position, but they're good coordinators. Josh McDaniels, another example, really high-end coordinator, absolutely disastrous head coach. Matt Eberflus is a good defensive coordinator. He is not a head football coach. The guy melts every time the cameras turn on him. He can't answer a question. He can't field a proper response. It's always about processing, staying together, loving each other. I mean, what are you coaching here? A camp for kids or something? Is this a summer camp? This is a professional football league, okay? Team, a charter franchise with professionals and guys making millions of dollars. They don't want to hear kumbaya and bullshit. They're also smart enough to know when a guy's not qualified to be their head coach, which you can see by the way they're playing. The team's completely checked out on him. It's gotten worse to worse from that game in Washington where, I mean, everyone's gone over how mismanaged it was, with not calling the timeout before the Hail Mary, then the disastrous Hail Mary, then your offensive coordinator, your second hire that you already had in your tenure here, hands it off to a backup center that barely ever even gets on the field as a center, and he's carrying to the goal line in a crucial situation. I mean, he blew 4 games already in his tenure. Look at last year's classic example. How many games that they blew that they should have won. The Detroit game where it looked dead for Detroit and they come back to win it. The Denver game where they had no business being in that game, much less winning it. The guy has proven to do one thing well, and that is absolutely be unprepared to guard any lead and to allow the biggest blown leads and games that you will ever see from a head coach. It's continued this year. The game against Arizona, completely uninspired and flat. And the get well game against the arguably worst team in the league, the Patriots, come into your house after two disastrous wins and you let them punk you and beat you around. That team is a expansion team. They have zero talent. They have a rookie quarterback, a rookie head coach, and they absolutely smoked you at home. What does that tell management here? If someone's bad at their job, really bad, and it's affecting everything else, I think you should be relieved of your job if you're not qualified for it. He hired his offensive coordinators twice. First one, fired in his first year, after his first year. Second one, I mean, Getsy had, I don't even know, 1 or 2 years. This is all just molding and fumbling in my head of all this stuff that's happened with this organization. Waldron, 10 weeks in, completely in over his head. Looks like this guy's never called a play in his life. There's no rhyme or reason to anything. They're making really good players look bad. Now, that's a skill set to make players like DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, who's Mr. Reliable, potential Hall of Famer, a top receiver, arguably top receiver in this draft, as many scouts were saying. Roma Dunze looked like he's a 7th-round pick, and your generational talented quarterback completely looking lost. Not to mention you spent in free agency, you were the first team to make a move by signing DeAndre Swift, and where did that go? This organization is at an absolute bottom right now. And why is this good for us fans? Because you now have a reason to leave. You have a reason to leave this toxic relationship. Hey, just because they're your hometown team and you're living this town doesn't mean you need to be with them. Football should be fun. Watching football should be fun. There's a lot of good teams in the nearby areas. I love watching the Detroit Lions. They are absolutely what the Bears used to be, a laughingstock. A franchise never won. They have a great coach who's an actual CEO of the team, unlike what Eberflus pitches and preaches he is. And who's really likable, who's the opposite of Eberflus, who's very candid, honest, truly someone you can root for, and just a fantastic team all around with guys you want to root for. They're fun, exciting, the best offensive mind in the league right now with Ben Johnson. That's saying a lot. I mean, I'll still put McVay and Kyle Shanahan on a pedestal, but in terms of coordinators, Ben Johnson, no one can touch it. It's fun. Why would you subject yourself to watching something that doesn't even look like professional football every week? And not only that, but for a franchise and ownership that doesn't give a damn about you. Because if they did, they would be doing something about it. They'd be making moves. They'd be firing these coaches, firing the GM, making it. The fans made themselves heard yesterday. And they've been for weeks on talk radio, social media, but in that stadium, it was boo after boo after boo, and you did nothing. You pranced that clown out here today to do a press conference, a sham of a press conference where he literally just fumbled around, didn't answer a single question, and didn't announce anything. Being such a coward that this organizational management is right now, they couldn't even demote or fire that offensive coordinator in a live press conference. They said they'll have answers and something to be said later on. When they're going to announce this at 10 p.m. at night when people are in bed so they don't get any backlash for it. I mean, this is cowardly acting, portrayal, whatever you want to put, puppetry at its finest. I mean, you talk about having zero guts and no shame to do your fans, your loyal fans like that. This is a charter organization. Stop this toxic relationships. They're giving you every reason to get off this bandwagon and never come back. enjoy football. Football is the most popular sport in America. There's so many fun teams to watch out there to root for that don't have the dysfunction. And it won't cost you anything. You won't have to go to these games. You won't have to spend for parking and food and merch. Just watch fun football. You can enjoy it from the comfort of your own home. Watch the Lions. Watch teams like the Eagles. Watch teams like Kansas City, Buffalo. I mean, there's so many good stories to root for. They'll fulfill that need that you have to root for a franchise that hasn't really done much. Buffalo is such a good story. Detroit is an awesome story. I mean, there's so many great players out there in franchises. I just feel bad for Caleb Williams and these guys, especially the young ones, the Roma Dunzes, who will be ruined by this franchise, who could have been stars and superstars already other places. They're absolutely going to be ruined by this franchise because they didn't have a choice to not get drafted by this team. And that should also set off something in the league where complete change of rules where you can't have these players be stuck with these organizations who aren't serious, who don't want to win, who don't care. They just care about having their friends be in high places, collecting money, and calling it a day. Because if the McCaskeys tell you they're actual fans and they care about this organization, shame on them because they've done nothing to prove that. Absolutely nothing. This is an absolute embarrassment. The National Football League for even having this sort of organization there that's completely unhinged and cannot take care of itself, not instilling people in there. I mean, there's been organizations that had issues. Washington has had a horrible owner. They got rid of them. Every time there's been a bad owner, the league has found a way to get rid of them at some point. But this is just an embarrassment. 100-year-old woman making the biggest decisions for a football organization in 2024. Let that sink into you. And her doofus son, who's got no balls, clearly, who can't absolutely make a decision for his life. They preach stability. They preach cohesiveness. What are you cohesing here? What are you stabilizing here? Bad? That's the only thing that you have consistently is bad. You can't do that. Fans, you can't do this to themselves. They're never going to change until the old lady's gone and her doofus sons and family sell this franchise. This will never change. Save yourself the headache. Save yourself the aggravation and just pick a new team. You're completely allowed to do that, especially if this toxic relationship doesn't love you back like you love them and the loyalty you've shown. Now you are the problem, fans. You are the problem because you're sticking around with something that doesn't love you, that doesn't care about you. Do yourself a favor. Separate yourself. Break yourself away from this. This is not healthy. This is stressing everyone out. Everyone's in a bad mood because of this organization not giving a damn about you. Find something better out there. And if you don't want to follow another team, then use that time to be with your family or find a new hobby or interest or whatever. Latch onto a different sport more. Give yourself that time on a Sunday afternoon. This is unwatchable. This isn't fun. None of this is entertaining. They're setting football back decades the way they play and the way they operate. This is not how it's supposed to be. Watch some other teams, and it looks completely different. It looks nothing like this. You're going to root and support these cowards, these gutless people who don't care about you as a fan, who just care about themselves and their buddies. Can't do that to yourself. Ryan Pace, better than Poles right now. Ryan Poles, all the goodwill you acquired, you just completely ruined it. You completely ruined it by keeping this clown. It just shows that you're probably not qualified to evaluate a proper coach. You had 2 coordinators already, and you couldn't get those right. You don't get more chances to pick. They had a meltdown in a coaching staff last year where you had a defensive coordinator, Alan Williams, doing a bunch of shenanigans that you had to fire him for. This is out of control. Who's in control of this? How is this allowed in any business? in a business principle, when your biggest asset is depreciating in value, skyrocketing down, you have to do something about it. And if you know someone that's in charge of that asset is causing the downfall, it is proper moral business sense that you get rid of that thing that is causing your biggest asset to free fall. No smart business person would do that. They would not let someone handling who's not here for the long term anyway. He's on borrowed time. This is not a guy who's going to be at the hip with Caleb, as Caleb's career evolves. This guy isn't the one. You need an offensive minded coach, someone that's younger too, and visionary who knows what they're doing. Not this buffoon. Matt Eberflus will never be head coach after getting fired here. He might not even be a defensive coordinator anywhere here again in the league. That tells you everything about what's wrong with this franchise and how it operates. It's an absolute embarrassment, but now they're just toying and laughing at you because you're freaking out there as a Bears fan. You are losing your temper. You are stressed out, but they don't give a damn about you. They're laughing at you because they're getting their money and they're celebrating with their friends who they put in high positions. It's always been like that with this franchise. Ted Phillips, who caught a lot of slack over the years, and believe me, he was a part of the problem, but he's gone now. Who do you blame? It starts at the top. It's always been at the top. It's been the 100-year-old woman and her kids that have ruined this professional franchise by their ineptitude, their lack of knowledge about football and football operations, and really operations of running a franchise or a business. They're not qualified for that. They inherited this franchise. Sell the team. Save yourself headaches. You're getting embarrassed. You're getting blasted, not only in local media and with fans, but nationally. You're a laughing stock. You need that at your old ages to go through this? What is the point of holding on to this? Sell the team. Let someone else take over this who's qualified. And save yourself. Collect your money. Right off into the sunset. Go and live out your final years of your life properly. Come on, people. This is absolutely embarrassing. No pun intended, what's gone on with this franchise. And it's just going to get worse. This season is going to spiral out of control. Players have checked out. They're going to keep on checking out. This is just going to get worse, not better. And then you're going to have to forcibly do the inevitable that you so don't want to do right now, is fire that clown as a head coach and bring in a whole new coaching staff. At least if you were to fire him now, you might still save enough of Caleb Williams, some of the players, and save the locker room from imploding. Yeah, playoffs are out of reach probably at 4-5, but man, at least you can get some of these people that you're paying so much money. And if you're cheap to fire Eberflus and all this coach staff, look at how much you just pay for a single player on this roster. They don't make more than any player probably, unless it's like some, third or fourth string guy. Does Eberflus make per year? You are too cheap as an organization to hire someone qualified like Jim Harbaugh because you don't want two things. You don't want to spend market value and for coaching and proper management, and you don't want someone who is actually in charge, who's not going to be putting up with your BS, who knows football and knows how to run this business. You hire people who are qualified in this industry to run an industry, not a bunch of first-timers and people learning on the job who've never done this. It's an absolute shame and embarrassment how this is run, and it's been going on for way too long. This franchise never won. They haven't had a winning season in years. One winning season in a decade. Come on. This is a joke, and we are the ones at fault too as fans for subjecting to this nonsense. Enough is enough. This is just a clown show. But I'll tell you what, the media does like it because it's entertaining. It gives them content daily to lambast about and hold on to. So this dysfunction isn't technically the worst thing for anyone. Because what would happen if this team was functional in this organization? It wouldn't be as exciting. So on the contrary of it, They give you so much material to get angry and riled up about because they're so unserious. And how does that say? They're so unserious that you're almost compelled to follow this stuff. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how this franchise got a stronghold over people. And it's got to stop. We got to end the toxic relationship. Don't love something that doesn't love you. Those are the Chicago Bears. A clown show, an unserious franchise with unserious ownership. That's well said. I'll credit myself for that because it went viral, but it's true. Run by a 100-year-old woman. All right, there's my Bears rant for you. That's all they get from me. Just figured I'd share it. In the meantime, please subscribe to Real Talker. Hit that subscribe button. Appreciate that. When you guys doing it, click that thumbs up, like button if you like this rant or chat or whatever this was about the Chicago Bears and their ineptitude as one of the worst franchises in sports right now. So in the meantime, keep on following for more stuff, and I'm out.